Welcome to State of the Offense, your preseason source for fantasy football coverage for your favorite team's offense, the Miami Dolphins. In the skill positions, the Dolphins signed Mike White to back up Tua Tagovailoa in free agency, and in the draft they added running back Devon Achane in the third round from Texas A&M. The Dolphins lost Mike Gesicki in free agency to New England. Most fantasy football shows will only mention skill players, but at State of the Offense we do cover the offensive line as well. Teron Armstead is one of the best left tackles in the game, but he's battled injuries regularly over his career. Last year, Armstead missed 4 games, but he graded at a 93 with a 69.4% snap share. Only 2 tackles in the NFL graded higher than Armstead last year, Trent Williams and Lane Johnson. At the beginning of camp, Armstead is recovering from hip and knee issues. Left guard Liam Eichenberg is entering his 3rd season in Miami. He was a 2021 second-round draft pick, but he injured his knee in Week 8, and he returned in Week 17. In the games Eichenberg played, he had a 97.4% snap share, and he rated at a 67. Year 3 is a big year for Eichenberg to prove himself to the organization. Connor Williams' first season in Miami went very well. After 4 seasons in Dallas, Connor started all 17 games, and he had a 100% snap share while grading at an 80. His 80 grade rates him as the number 7 center in the NFL. Williams is a free agent after the season. 4th-year right guard Robert Hunt had a very similar type of season as Connor Williams in 2022. Hunt started all 17 games and graded at an 80, and he played 99.9% of the snaps. Hunt is also in a contract year. Hunt's 2020 draft classmate, first-rounder right tackle Austin Jackson, has not produced as well as Hunt. Jackson only played 84 snaps last year and he graded at a 68. The Dolphins declined his 5th-year option, so Jackson will be a free agent after this season. The Dolphins have invested free agent money and high draft picks into their offensive line. It hasn't necessarily paid off, but if the young trio of Liam Eichenberg, Robert Hunt, and Austin Jackson can stay healthy and play up to the level of their initial draft pedigrees, the Dolphins may be a force up front. 3 offensive linemen are free agents, and the other 2 missed multiple games last season, so the long-term security of the offensive line is very unsettled. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's season was a tale of polar opposites last year. Tua played in 13 games last season and he was fantastic. His yards per attempt jumped from 6.8 to 8.9. His touchdown to interception ratio went from 16 to 10 up to 25 to 8. His passer rating also improved from 90.1 to 105.5. His QBR from 55.7 to 68.8. On the flip side, Tua suffered through many scary moments on the field with concussions. The Dolphins showed a huge sign of confidence in Tua by taking his 5th-year option, which means that Tua will be under contract through 2024. In fantasy football, Tua was 5th in points per game, but due to his injuries, he only finished 14th in total points. His current draft position is at the quarterback 12, player 88 overall, which makes him a 9th rounder. I have Tua rated as the number 90 player overall myself, but I believe that because of the quality of the Miami passing attack, Tua can blow away the quarterback 12 draft position out of the water. It is all about Tua's availability. If you want to take Tua as your first quarterback in the 9th round, I would suggest that grabbing another quarterback in rounds 10 through 12 would solidify your plan. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are one of the most explosive wide receiver duos of all time. Their combined totals last year accounted for 194 receptions on 287 targets for 3,066 yards and 15 touchdowns. They were absolutely amazing. Tyreek Hill was wide receiver 3 in points and wide receiver 4 in points per game. Jalen Waddle was wide receiver 7 in points and wide receiver 14 in points per game. Tyreek is now the wide receiver 4 drafted at pick number 8 overall. Waddle is the wide receiver 11 drafted at pick 24. If Tua plays 17 games and he improves from year 3 to year 4, which is a reasonable assumption, Hill and Waddle can do better than they did last year. I don't see the Dolphins passing any less than they did last year if they have Tua all year. Because of the Tua concussion situation, though, I rate Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle a bit lower than their ADPs. I have Tyreek listed as the 15th player overall, and I have Jalen Waddle as the 42nd player overall. This is more so trying to build in a little bit of coverage for Tua's risk injury and any decline they may have with Mike White. Durham Smythe is the Dolphins' starting tight end again. but he only generated 20 targets in 16 games played. Mike Gesicki is in New England now, so the Dolphins do not have a proven pass-catching tight end on the roster. Miami is bringing back Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson at the running back position. Between them, they average 4.8 yards per carry. In the receiving game, they combined for 66 targets. The Dolphins made a very interesting move in the draft at running back. They used the 84th pick overall on speedster Devon Achane from Texas A&M. In space, Achane is a problem. If the Dolphins put him on the field with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they will have a speed advantage over defenses that no other NFL team can provide. We're talking about a 185-pound running back who ran a 4.32 40 at the combine. 113 passes were thrown to running backs in 2022. Is it possible that Mike McDaniel incorporates Achane as a satellite back where he can see 100 targets? If so, the Dolphins will be indefensible. Wilson and Mostert cancel out each other's value to a point. Devon Achane will take touches away from them as well. In average draft position, Wilson is player 117 and Mostert 123. Mostert was the running back 26 in total points and the running back 35 in points per game last year. He's the 45th running back drafted. Wilson was the running back 30 in total points and 38th in points per game, and he is currently the 42nd running back drafted. All three players will probably have good weeks during the season, but trying to predict it from a week-to-week basis will become frustrating. If the Dolphins feature Achane in the passing game, in PPR leagues, I really like Achane's upside. For value, upside, youth, and game-breaking ability, Devon Achane is a great dynasty play. All of these guys can function as backups in your fantasy lineup, but Achane is the only one that I would consider drafting in 2023. Mike McDaniel's scheme proved hard to defend last year. The Dolphins' ability in the passing game is potentially elite. The speed the Dolphins can put on the field creates mismatches. The success of the Miami Dolphins and potentially your fantasy team may hinge on the availability of Tua Tagovailoa. If luck breaks his way, the Dolphins may be in the Super Bowl. Miami has a very talented roster that can compete on both sides of the ball. They have a young coach who showed very well in his first year. This year's ceiling is the Super Bowl, but quarterback health will ultimately prove to be the difference maker for this team in 2023. If you like today's coverage of the Miami Dolphins offense, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.